The ground shook like thunder from the skies. Explosions echoed in the distance. Dust rose from the trees as warships clashed above the forest. Leaves fell like rain, and birds screamed as they flew away. It had been peaceful just hours ago. Now the planet Garaz was under attack. She crawled through the broken underbrush, her breath sharp and fast. Her name was Lyra, a young alien girl from the tail-bearing Viry species. Her scales shimmered in shades of silver and violet, and her long tail flicked nervously behind her. She had been gathering fruit when the human drop pods landed, followed by the invaders from the Urzan Empire. No one had warned them. No one had saved them. She had run, screaming for her tribe, but smoke and chaos swallowed them all. A nearby shockwave threw her across the clearing. When she hit the ground, pain seared through her spine. She tried to rise, but her tail didn't move. She twisted her head, and her heart stopped. A heavy boulder had fallen across it, pinning her in place. She let out a cry, trying to pull free, but the weight was impossible. Her hands dug at the dirt, but her claws only tore through roots. The pain was unbearable, and fear made her vision blur. Around her, the trees burned. The Urzan drones buzzed past overhead, scanning for movement. Lyra stopped breathing. If she moved too much, she would be spotted. If she didn't move at all, she might bleed out. A noise made her freeze. Boots. Not alien armor. Not buzzing metal-heavy human boots. Her eyes widened. Humans? Here? She had only heard rumors. That humans were wild, dangerous, that they destroyed everything they touched, that they had fire in their blood and no mercy in their hearts. She tried to stay quiet, but a small groan escaped her lips. The boots stopped, the bushes shifted, and a figure stepped into the smoky clearing, tall, muscular, wearing dusty armor with a scratched visor. The human soldier raised his weapon, then paused. His eyes, blue and confused, looked at her. He lowered the weapon. "What the hell?" he whispered, stepping closer. Lyra bared her teeth, growling in fear. Her tail twitched weakly under the rock. She had no strength left. The human took off his helmet slowly. His face was worn but not cruel. Brown stubble lined his jaw. He looked around, then crouched down beside her. "You're stuck," he said softly. She blinked. She expected anger, commands, maybe a kick. But not that voice. It didn't sound like a monster's. He put one hand on the boulder. "This is heavy, but I'll try." Lyra winced as he pushed. The rock shifted. A scream tore from her throat. "Sorry," he said quickly. "I'm not trying to hurt you." Why? Why was he helping? He looked straight into her eyes. "I'm not with them. I got separated from my unit. I don't know what's happening anymore, but I saw you. And I couldn't leave you here." She stared at him, shocked. He was not like the stories. He was kind. "I'm going to lift it again. Hold your breath." He pressed his boots into the ground, grunted, and heaved. This time, the boulder rose higher. Lyra screamed again but pulled with all her strength. Her tail slid free, torn and bleeding. She collapsed on her side, gasping. He dropped the rock and stumbled back. "You're okay. You're free." She wanted to speak, but no words came. Instead, she looked at him, truly looked, and saw not a monster, but a man. The human reached into his pouch and pulled out a small med pack. "Let me fix that," he said. She flinched but didn't stop him. His hands were warm, careful. The way he wrapped the cloth around her tail made her chest tighten. No one from her tribe would have done this for a stranger. "My name's Connor," he said. She blinked again. He pointed to himself. "Connor." Then he pointed to her. She hesitated. "Lyra," she whispered. Connor smiled. "Lyra. Okay. We're not gonna die today, Lyra. Let's get out of here." But just as he stood, red lasers scanned across his chest. They weren't alone anymore. Connor's body froze. The red laser beam stayed on his chest. It moved slowly, tracking him like a predator. Then, from the trees, a low mechanical whirring sound grew louder. One of the Erzin drones hovered into view. Its insect-like wings buzzed, and a small cannon on its underside rotated toward him. Lyra gasped softly. Her instincts screamed to run, but her tail was still weak. She barely had strength to sit upright. Connor raised his hands slowly, keeping his body between the drone and Lyra. "Stay down," he whispered. The drone beeped twice. Its voice spoke in a cold, metallic language neither of them understood. Connor looked around. No cover, no time. The drone would fire in seconds. He made his move, quickly pulling out a pulse grenade from his side pouch. He clicked the activation button and threw it at the drone's base. The device flew through the air and stuck to the drone's underbelly. "Get down!" he yelled. The explosion was sharp but controlled. Sparks flew as the drone's wings shattered and the machine fell to the ground in a heap of smoke and metal. Connor turned back to Lyra. "You okay?" She was shocked. You protected me." He nodded. "Let's just say I hate machines more than aliens." He helped her sit up, supporting her weight carefully. She still winced from the pain in her tail, but she could feel the bandage. Holding firm, the bleeding had slowed. She was alive. And he had saved her again. They moved slowly through the forest. Connor kept his arm around her, supporting her weight as she limped beside him. He checked his wrist scanner. No signal. His cum was dead, and the GPS wasn't working. He was completely cut off from his squad. Lyra kept glancing at him. Every time he moved, her eyes tracked him. She had never seen a human up close before, and now one was practically carrying her. "Why did you save me?" she finally asked. Connor gave a small smile. "Wouldn't you do the same?" She looked away. "My people would have run." Connor didn't answer. He just kept walking. As they climbed over fallen logs and moved past burnt bushes, the air grew cooler. The sky was beginning to darken. Viraz's twin moons were rising, and strange animal cries echoed through the woods. "We need to find shelter," Connor muttered. He spotted a small cave up ahead, half covered by vines. He helped Lyra inside and laid her gently against a wall. The cave was dry and warm, far enough from the crash zone to be safe, at least for now. He started a small heat lamp and handed her a ration bar. She sniffed it cautiously. "It's not poison," he said with a grin. She bit into it. Her eyes widened. "This is good," Connor chuckled. "You'd hate the rest of our food." They sat together in silence for a while. The crackle of the lamp and the soft wind outside were the only sounds. "You were scared of me," Connor said quietly. "At first," she nodded. "You don't look like the monsters I imagined. And you don't look like the enemy." I'm just a gatherer." He looked at her tail, which was wrapped and slightly twitching. "You almost lost your life today. For gathering fruit." "I lost my brother," she whispered. "He was running beside me. Then the Erzin drones came. I don't know if he's alive." Connor's face darkened. "War doesn't care who's innocent." Lyra looked at him. "But you care." He didn't reply. Later, as she drifted into a light sleep, Connor sat at the cave entrance, watching the stars. He had come to this planet as a soldier. But now things were changing. He had saved an alien girl. He didn't know why, but deep inside, something told him it was the right thing, and somewhere out there, others were still fighting, killing, hunting. He knew they wouldn't be safe. For long, they needed a plan. And he had no idea what would come next, but he wouldn't leave her behind. Not now. The morning came with a low growl in the sky. Connor opened his eyes before the sun rose. He had not slept much. His back ached from sitting against the cave wall all night, but his ears stayed alert. The sound of engines echoed far above them, slow. Circling, searching. Lyra was still sleeping, curled up beside the small heat lamp. Her tail twitched once, but she didn't move much. The swelling had gone down a little, but the wound still needed better care. Connor checked the bandage. It was soaked again. She needed medical attention and fast. He stood and moved quietly to the cave entrance. The forest looked calm again, but smoke still curled in the far distance. Broken trees and scattered drone parts reminded him this war was not over. He touched the side of his wrist scanner again. Still dead. No signal. When he stepped back inside, Lyra stirred. She blinked, her eyes foggy. "You didn't leave?" He gave her a tired smile. "Not planning to." Her face softened. "You're strange for a human." "Yeah," he chuckled. "I get that a lot." He handed her another ration bar and a small bottle of clean water. She drank carefully. Every movement showed her pain, but she was trying to hide it. Connor noticed anyway. "You're not going to heal out here," he said. "There's a healer hut near the cliff caves," she said slowly. "But it's a long way, and Urzen patrols." "Then we'll avoid them," Connor replied. "Can you walk?" "I'll try." He helped her up. She leaned heavily on him at first, but after a few slow steps, she started finding her rhythm. Her tail dragged a little behind, but she kept going. They moved through the forest, keeping low and silent. The trees grew taller in this part, and thick vines created shadows that helped hide their trail. Connor listened carefully. He had the instincts of a soldier. He trusted them more than his gear. Suddenly, a noise stopped them. Voices. Not Urzen. Not machines. Lyra tensed. That language? Connor raised a finger to his lips. He moved ahead, crouching behind a large root. In the clearing below, 3 alien figures stood beside a fire. One of them wore tribal armor, scales, feathers, and an old energy spear. They were very like Lyra, but something about them felt wrong. "They're not from my village," she whispered. "They're wanderers." Connor watched carefully. One of the wanderers sniffed the air. "I smell blood," the alien said. "Fresh." Another one grinned. "Maybe an injured one. Easy catch." Lyra's face went pale. "They hunt the weak." Connor clenched his jaw. He whispered, "We can't go around. They're standing right near the path." Lyra's eyes were full of fear. "What do we do?" Connor looked down at his gear. He had one flash grenade, a broken drone sensor, and his plasma. Sidearm, not much, but enough. "Stay here," he said. Before she could answer, he moved out. He threw the flash grenade high into the air. Boom. A blinding light exploded across the clearing. The wanderers screamed, stumbling back. Connor dashed forward, tackling the first one and knocking the weapon from his hands. The second tried to swing a blade, but Connor rolled and shot twice, stunning him with short bursts. The third ran. Connor let him go. He turned back to Lyra. "Let's move." They rushed forward, past the stunned wanderers and deeper into the trees. For the next hour, they climbed steep paths and crossed shallow streams. Lyra's strength was fading, but she pushed herself harder than ever. She didn't want to slow him down. Finally, they reached a rocky ledge overlooking a valley. Below, hidden between jagged cliffs, was a small hut made of stones and glowing moss. "The healer's place," she whispered. Connor exhaled in relief. "We made it." But just as they began to climb down, a low screech echoed behind them. In the shadows, a new threat approached, and it wasn't human or viry. The screech echoed across the cliffside, sharp and metallic. Connor froze. Lyra turned slowly, her injured tail dragging behind her. From the trees above, a long, shadowy figure climbed down the rocks. It had 6 legs, sharp claws, and glowing red eyes. An Urzen tracker unit, not a drone. This one moved like a beast, but it was fully machine-made for one purpose: hunting. It followed our scent. Lyra whispered. Connor raised his weapon. "Keep moving. I'll distract it." "No," she said quickly. "You'll die." He didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the machine. The Erzin tracker dropped to the ledge, sniffed the air, and locked its eyes on Connor. With a hiss, it leapt forward, fast like a bullet. Connor rolled aside just in time. The machine crashed into the rock wall and sprang back. He aimed and fired 3 precise shots into its chest. The sparks flew, but the beast kept coming. "Run, Lyra!" he shouted, but she didn't run. Instead, she grabbed a loose rock and slammed it into a root above the path. The root broke, and a thick vine fell straight onto the tracker's back. The machine stumbled, and Connor took the chance. He jumped, landed on its back, and jammed the pulse blade into its joint. The machine twitched wildly, sparks shooting from its limbs. Finally, it collapsed. Connor stood, breathing hard, covered in dust and smoke. "You stayed," he said. Lyra nodded. "You saved me. I won't leave you behind." He smiled, though tired. "Then let's get you healed." They climbed down the final path and reached the small healer hut. The door creaked open when Connor knocked. Inside, an old Viary woman sat near a soft blue flame. Her tail was short and her face wrinkled, but her eyes were wise. She looked at Lyra and gasped. "Child, what happened?" Lyra collapsed into her arms. "My tail was crushed. He saved me." The healer looked at Connor, eyes sharp. "A human?" "He's not like the others," Lyra said. The old healer nodded slowly and gestured for them to enter. Connor helped place Lyra on a bed of leaves and warm cloth. The healer unwrapped the bloody bandage and clicked her tongue. "You're lucky it didn't get infected," she said, using a mix of herbs, light gel, and glowing threads. The healer worked on Lyra's wound with care. The pain made Lyra grip Connor's hand tightly, but she didn't scream. She stayed strong. After nearly an hour, the healer stood. "It will heal. But slowly. She must not walk too much." Connor nodded. "Thank you. You risked your life for her," the healer said. "Why?" He looked at Lyra, who was resting now. "Because she was in pain. Because it was the right thing," the healer smiled softly. "Your kind is feared here, but maybe not all humans are the same." That night, the sky outside was clear. The stars shined above Garaz. Connor sat beside the sleeping Lyra, her tail finally resting comfortably. He thought about his mission, his unit, the war. And he realized something deep in his heart, something strange. He didn't want to go back, not yet. Lyra stirred and opened her eyes. "Are you okay?" she whispered. "I should be asking you that," he replied. "I don't understand humans," she said. "Most humans don't understand humans," he said with a smirk. She smiled. Then she reached out and gently placed her hand over his. No words were needed. But outside, far in the distance, Erzin scouts were still moving. And someone was looking for a human soldier who had gone missing, and they were getting close. The healer's hut felt like a different world. Peaceful, safe, quiet. For 3 days, Connor and Lyra stayed hidden. Each morning, the old healer cleaned her wound and applied fresh herbs. Lyra's tail slowly began to move again. She no longer cried out in pain when she shifted. Her eyes grew brighter and her voice stronger. Connor helped where he could, fetching water, fixing broken tools, and standing guard each night. He slept lightly, always alert. He knew safety here wouldn't last forever. Lyra noticed his worry. "You still think they'll find you?" "They will," he said. "They're tracking something, maybe my armor, or maybe just me." "Then let's leave," she whispered. "Together." Connor looked at her in surprise. "You would leave your planet?" "I already lost my tribe, my home, what's left?" He didn't answer, but his chest felt tight. That afternoon, Connor sat outside, watching the wind move through the trees. The sky was calm, but a strange signal blinked on the side of his wrist pad. Weak, but real. He pressed it. A human voice crackled through. "Sergeant Connor, if you're alive, respond." Extraction window, 36 hours. Coordinates locked to your last ping. Then silence. Connor stared at the device. He had a chance to escape, but only alone. That night, he sat beside Lyra again. She was sitting upright now, legs crossed. Her long silver tail curled beside her like a blanket. I heard the signal. She said, "You understand it? Not all, but enough." Connor nodded. "They'll come for me, but not for you. I know." They were quiet. Then she said, "You should go." "I don't want to." "You must." He looked at her eyes. "Steady. You saved me too. Not just your life, but mine." Lyra leaned closer, her voice soft. "Then don't forget me." "I won't." But just as the moment grew quiet again, a loud crash broke the peace. The healer's door slammed open. Smoke poured in, and with it, two tall figures in black armor, Urzen enforcers. They pointed their weapons at Connor and shouted in their language. Connor pushed Lyra behind him. "Stay down," he whispered. The first enforcer fired. Connor dodged, pulling his sidearm and returning fire. The healer screamed as glass shattered. Sparks flew from the lamp as one blast hit the wall behind them. Lyra crawled to safety, her tail dragging again. The wound had opened. Connor ducked behind a beam and shot again. One enforcer fell, but the second rushed him with a blade. They fought hand to hand. Connor blocked, twisted, and slammed the attacker into the wall. He was faster, stronger, but not faster than a scream. Lyra shouted. Behind him. "Connor!" The second Urzen had risen again and aimed at her. Connor didn't think. He ran, tackled the enforcer just as the trigger was pulled. The shot hit the ceiling. Then silence. Smoke filled the room again. Connor lay on the floor, blood dripping from his shoulder. Lyra crawled to him. "No, stay awake." He smiled weakly, still breathing. The healer rushed in and pressed a cloth to the wound. "You foolish human," she said. Connor laughed softly. "Worth it." Outside, far above the sky, a human ship entered orbit, and time was running out. The wound on Connor's shoulder burned like fire. The healer pressed herbs into it, wrapping the cloth tight. He gritted his teeth but stayed silent. Blood soaked through the fabric, but the bleeding had slowed. Lyra sat beside him, her tail curled protectively around his leg. She watched him closely, her silver eyes full of fear. "You'll be okay," she whispered. He nodded once, then turned to the old healer. "How long before I can move?" The healer shook her head. "You can move now, if you want to bleed again." "We have no choice," he said. "That signal I caught, it was a rescue ship. I only have a few hours left to reach it." Lyra looked down. "You should go. Alone. They won't take me." Connor looked at her and reached for her hand. "I'm not leaving without you." She blinked. "But your kind doesn't accept." "Mine. Then they'll learn," he said. "Or they can leave me behind too." Tears filled her eyes, but she nodded. "Then let's go." The healer packed them food and one extra stim shot for Connor. "Use it only if you collapse," she warned. With help, Connor stood. His steps were slow at first, but Lyra supported him just as he had once supported her. They walked out of the hut and into the woods, their path lit by the pale glow of garages. Moons. The journey to the extraction site was hard. The pain in Connor's body grew worse. His head felt light, and his legs shook. Lyra led the way now, guiding him past roots, hills, and hidden drone parts. She had regained her strength, but her steps were still careful. Her tail moved again, slow, but alive. As they reached the top of a ridge, they saw it, a human dropship, hovering above a wide field, its lights blinking. A single ramp extended to the ground. Connor tapped his wrist pad. "This is Sergeant Connor requesting evac with one civilian." A moment passed. Then a voice replied, "Copy that, Sergeant. Clearance approved for one passenger." "Who's the civilian?" Connor looked at Lyra. "Her name is Lyra. She's injured. She's with me. A pause. Then. Acknowledged. Medical support ready. You've got 6 minutes. They ran or tried to. Connor stumbled near the bottom. His body couldn't take more. Lyra caught him before he hit the ground. Take the stim, she said quickly. He shook his head. You'll have to help me up the ramp. She wrapped his arm around her shoulders. Then hold on. The ship's doors began to close. They reached the edge just in time. The crew inside grabbed Connor, pulling him in. Lyra stepped forward, but the guard raised a hand. Alien life form, he said. She can't come. Connor sat up, blood on his lip. Then I'm not staying. She's not registered. She saved my life, he growled. She's not a threat. Lyra looked at the floor. I can go back. No, Connor said. You're coming with me. The ship commander appeared, a tall woman in dark armor. She looked at Lyra, then at Connor. You're risking court-martial, she said. Then court-martial me. The commander studied them both, then nodded. Strap her in. Lyra gasped as the guard stepped back. You mean I can come? The commander nodded again. This war has taken enough. Let's not lose the only thing that looks like peace. They sat beside each other as the ship lifted into the sky. Lyra gripped Connor's hand, trembling. What happens now? She asked. Connor leaned back against the wall, eyes closing. We heal, he said. Together. And for the first time since the war began, they both felt safe.